All right. Good morning, everybody. The final true live show of the season. I'm sure I'll be gaming and stuff like that. And this could be legit the end of the road last live show for NASCAR DFS on this channel. We'll see how that goes next year. I want to talk F1 first. I understand that we're here for NASCAR. Oh, I gotta mute this on my end. But I want to talk F1 first because I want to have people have time to get here and ask questions and stuff like that. And also, let's really well, I mean the F1 contest basically filled. We got like 200 spots left. But truly, I understand like at this point for football, yet again, I mainly just do the showdown and stuff. But like realistically, all right, cool. I'm tired of football. I'm already over it. Like I'm not watching shit on Sunday midday. I'm not doing that. I literally only watch the evening games. And at this point, like I would completely be burned out if I was playing just the classic slate each and every week. And why do you want to compete with 200,000 people when you can just play F1 or NASCAR? F1 has like 3,000 people in it today, and you have a much higher chance of actually like legit making some money. You still have to like do well, but like the return on F1 versus NFL makes way more sense. Or doing that, same thing with like NASCAR. Like what? Anywho, so I do want to talk F1 first. Uh, Thank you, Clutch. I appreciate it. I'm glad that I was right about that. I like taking victory laps about that stuff. Yeah, this whole next gen is still busted. It wasn't ready. Like, dude, this car sucks, and we're never going back. Just how it is. Oh well. Oh well. A lot of people. I say a lot of wild shit, but truly, what I tweeted out is like everything has gone to sludge because people don't die in race cars anymore. I guarantee, if these kids died in trucks, they wouldn't be racing like that on Friday. So let's go ahead and take a look at F1 real fast. I'm not going to show what I've been talking about in private. I'm going to say that there's a lot of discrepancies within the F1 sphere, whatever. This is a weekend, and I talked about it on Thursday's show. I really don't like how a lot of these guys are. So this is my stuff. Let's go and start a new one here with just Saber Sim. We're just gonna run this bitch the way it is. And so I don't like that. I don't like that they got. Actually, they find. Actually, that's Captain. Hold on. Is this my projection? Let's restart it all. I go down. Like, that's interesting. Now they moved him down because this was different last night. But either way, we're just gonna move down. I'm gonna move down Stroll. I'm gonna move down. I don't drastically want to change. We're gonna 4.8. We're gonna let this run. Anyway, when I talk about this, so entering this weekend and entering where we're at in F1, we're seeing that Max's price is being pushed higher and higher. And as somebody who has played Max literally the last like 2 years straight, we are at the point of seeing that paying up for Max is not going to be optimal. He is just too expensive. And we've seen that as of late, even with all the crash that we've had in some of these races lately, we're seeing that playing Max is just not viable. Even if he leads all the laps and wins and gets the fastest laps, with how Perez has been running, it's either Perez is going to wreck or he's going to finish like 32nd. So the strategy certainly now has transitioned or shifted to you play Red Bull and the captain. You still do that because they're going to be the highest constructor. Certainly if Max leads everything, you play Perez. And with how everything is lining up today, I don't believe a cheap captain is worth it. Cheap as in like, typically you have to punt at the bottom. You get one of the Haas guys, you get one of the Alfa Romeo guys or whatever. I don't necessarily see that. I'm probably, and these weren't the final projections that I ran with, but this is pretty much where I'd set things at, because anywhere between the top five, like I currently have the top five as, and why is this important? Because I think this is cool to talk about. And I'm waiting, like I said, I'm waiting for people to join and type in NASCAR stuff and everything like that so we can kind of go through. Anyway, so I currently have my top five as, I gotta go through. I currently have it Max, Perez, Leclerc, Hamilton, Norris. But Norris, Hamilton, Leclerc can easily all switch and flip-flop and stuff in those like 3, 4, 5 different points between third place and sixth place, even with even with Alonso, say if he finishes anywhere from like fifth to eighth, like all this is in fluctuation. Leclerc, Norris, Hamilton, Alonso, those guys are all, or like all that stuff is in fluctuation. We pretty much need to nail whoever scores the best between those guys and captain. And you either have to sacrifice if you're going Lewis captain, if you're going Lando captain, if you're going Alonso captain. A lot of the other sites, and let's see if this is done running yet. So yeah, like a lot of the stuff is wanting to use like cheaper captains today. Let's get this here. Let's see what captains they're going with. I only ran 20. Let's move this thing to like 1,000. Give me 1,000 lines here. What are we doing here? All right, so now we open that up. Lando's showing up. Yuki and Ricardo, I probably wouldn't do. I don't know why they have George Russell beating Hamilton. I just don't understand that at all. That was one of the things I was going to talk about. Like, I don't understand that play at all. It's like it's going to lean a lot of George Russell, where like Hamilton outscores him most of the time. Like he's going to get the 5-point bonus, and Russell just wouldn't be in a lineup that I'd want to play to be optimal. Like you need Hamilton to wreck out in that situation. So like that's the first big thing, and I think we're going to see probably a lot of Russell capped, or not Russell capped. We're going to see a lot of ownership to Russell. We're probably going to see a lot of ownership to Stroll. Even though I haven't projected for 0. I think Run the Sims was pushing Lance Stroll to like maintain a top 10 running position. So at least SaberSim has fixed that. Anyway, my main advice for F1 would be either Alonso or Norris in the captain. Play Perez, play Red Bull, and then it's literally just filling in. Like if you can get to Gasly, you get into Ocon, you get into Ricardo, you get into Yuki Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, Kevin Magnussen, so on and so forth. Do you need to go to Sargent and just hope everybody else wrecks and he can gain some positions? Like that's literally what is day, and just see if you can land on the correct combination for F1. So that's the F1 and time killers people will walk in here. When we look at the Cup Series, this is one where I am very excited, very happy. I like this race a lot. I have the two most boring guys. I mean, I don't think in terms of boring and stuff. I kind of like William Byron. I'm honestly getting like super biased towards William Byron, man. He has won me a lot of money. I've been playing Byron so much this year. I've like grown attached to the guy. Same thing with Custer too. I ended up playing them a lot, and really like Byron has been the best guy. Custer has been the second best guy in those series. So like at least it was kind of fair. And it's like that. Actually, I'm talking a lot. Hold on, I gotta get my thoughts squared away. Yo, what's going on, Milton? Yeah, I mentioned in the other videos, very very early discussions with the site for next year, but all that is on not necessarily requirements, because I don't think I'm better than other people, but like I don't want to be a contractor. I don't want to be in a situation where I'm getting paid per video, per article if I'm doing any of that stuff. I'm fine doing more work on either the back end or not necessarily social media, but like dealing with like PR stuff. I'm perfectly, not PR stuff, like HR stuff, whatever the case may be. I'm perfectly fine going more into that. But I need to at least be making what I am making now through my Patreon and YouTube. And that's basically a full-time requirement if I'm going to join a company. And those positions truly don't exist in the DFS space. Like nobody, as a tout, certainly in this situation, like there's situations like you don't work through up to like land a full-time job. Most sites are running people as contractors. As I said, you get paid per article, per video, whatever the case may be, and you get like $1,000 a month. Like I'm not doing that. I'm not leaving my channel for anything in that realm. I need much more. And so there's like one place that would do that. And as I said, we're like in early discussions on that. That'll probably be talk about in a few weeks internally, like with me and them, and then we'll figure it out by like December if that's the case. I would lean to me going ahead and doing that from everything that I'm feeling and seeing and hearing, like they'd want to do that. But we'll see. So anyway, last like DFS video on this channel, kinda. We'll see. That's kind of where I'm at though. Anywho, when we're looking at this race here, this is a race to where we're gonna bring this stuff up again because I think, as I said, I don't necessarily agree with these guys, but they are very good at giving me quote-unquote safe lineups and stuff. So we'll look at my build, we'll look at their build compared to this. So this is, let me make sure that's theirs. In a race like this, so I would typically, like I'm usually very aggressive, as I said. So like clearly I'm high on William Byron and Kyle Larson. These are my projections here. So when I build my own stuff, like when I throw my stuff in, I'm entering the week understanding that I'm going to probably be paying up a lot. Like I'm not necessarily, especially if I'm just drastically different. As I said, I've been high on Corey Haim. He got wrecked out, although I think he was pretty popular. Super high on Sammy Smith to lead the early portion of the race, and he would have if he didn't have to go through 2 back-to-back restarts because he only had a short run. I was literally only playing him for like the first 40 laps of the race. So I don't envision a lot of lineups, or I don't envision like duplicating with a lot of lineups. So typically when I'm running stuff like this, I will absolutely just be like, yeah, let me just put min salary 49,200 like when I'm running my own stuff, because I understand that's probably where I'm going to be at. I want this to be a little bit more open, so I'm just going to put it at 48.5 for this. Let's just go down, and this is interesting. They're very, very low on Eric Jones. We'll talk about that. They're very low on a lot of these guys. That's interesting. We'll talk about that as this goes along. So we'll run that, and we're going to see that. I also want to reiterate, when we look back at the races this weekend, that's not a sense of like what has happened so far, but as I talked about in the live show or the live watch along in the truck series, and as we talked about this weekend, as I've shown more of my process, at least for this special week, these races have literally been decided by, hey, you know the best guy by a long shot, like the best play that you would absolutely just play, they've been absolutely fuckified. Like everybody, I feel so bad. Like I was already screwed because I had Sammy Smith. But all the people who had Nemechek last night ran to a blown tire. They played the race correctly. I had one of my guys who was fucking killing it, crushing it. Nemechek blows the tire, finishes dead ass last car in lead lap, removes all the Nemechek lines. The variance of NASCAR is so drastically wild. It's really hard to argue. Not even argue. Kind of reiterated stuff that we talked about on the watch along. Like, there's a lot of good players in NASCAR that'll get screwed with crashes. It brings a lot of bad lineups up, like suboptimal or negative EV lines. Negative EV lines entering the race yesterday weren't winning jack shit literally until the white flag, and then they passed over all the plus EV lines entering the week and stuff, or entering the race. So like, anyway, the reason I'm bringing that up is I'm going to assume that we're going to have quite a lot of people playing Blaney. We're going to have quite a lot of people playing Bell, and this isn't just based off of projections. When we look at where these guys are at in terms of their runs, we see that Blaney has pretty much the best car in the situation. We have him being, let's delete these two. I haven't done that yet. We have Blaney, who went out there, understands that, hey, this is going to be Route 1. Pretty much on a long run. We need to gain positions. That's why he didn't qualify well, because he doesn't have a short run car. Not even like he's slow, just head to head, one lap. These guys are clearly setting up for a long run and stuff. So you're not gonna have that super fast like off pit lane, off pit road start. When we look at where he's at here, second fastest 5 lap, second 10 lap, first 15, first 20, and we've done a really, really good job, or at least I'm usually able to. But going through and explaining the videos, like we're able to identify where the chalk is, like pretty easily. It's not that hard, man. So I would imagine Blaney is probably the most popular play on the slate today. He has the best practice speed. He has place differential baked in. He has everything in that. We have Christopher Bell as well, who has looked phenomenal in practice, who offers you place differential, who, yet again, ran long run and stuff like that. So when I view this, I also want to reiterate that Phoenix is typically If you get the lead, you don't relinquish it. That's just what it is, man. Whoever has the lead is going to have the lead. Like, you can have the best car, and yes, you can run them down on a long run. But if you have track position and you have the lead, and you can get away on like the initial restart, like either clear them down the back straightaway or certainly have the lead the following lap, following a restart, you're going to lead at least 20, 25 laps, 30 laps before the guy can catch up to you on the long run. I'd like that. It kind of negates a lot of the good speed that these guys have because, hey, you know who's going to have track position the entire race? You know who has the number one pit stall? You know who's going to be there? It's William Byron. So, like, for me, when I'm here, like, I'm not trying to get different. Like, I'm not being like, hey, let's just get off of Blaney and stuff because I want to be different here. This is where I'm at. This is where I think, like, this is where my projections are today. So, like, I like Byron a lot. And Byron isn't complete horse water. He isn't just trash on these runs. Like, Byron is right there. He's literally identical to these guys. He's starting higher up. He does not offer the place differential, but he has no more in pit stall, and he's going to have the track, unless he speeds, he's going to be in the top 5 all day. That's typically where you want to scrape off fast laps. That's where you have the ability to get the lead and hold on to it. When we look at Larson, a little bit more concerning here in practice speed. Certainly the worst of the championship guys in this race, but it's Kyle Larson at Phoenix. It's going to be in a top 5 car. I love the pit stall selection for these guys. There's a, like, let's actually talk about this real fast because this is also important. So when we look at this, like, best pit stall, probably second best pit stall, we see that, where are we at? We see that Bell is all the way back here on the back straightaway. We talked about it extensively yesterday, why that isn't good. We have Truex here on the back. Like, that's concerning. When we look at where Blaney is, I forgot where Blaney is. So Blaney is here on the back straight as well. So, like, that is significant. That's huge. So we have two guys who, whether it's people rolling over, whether it's whatever, kind of fishy. Always the top 4 are always the top 4 at Phoenix. You know, it's kind of fishy, kind of sus. But significant advantages on pit lane for the 5 and the 24 versus, like, these are absolute hindrances for Blaney and for Bell. It's a hindrance for Truex, and when we're trying to figure out who's going to lead laps, who's going to be where, and everything like that, like, I'm leaning towards William Byron maintaining the lead for a vast majority of this race. And if it's not him, I firmly believe it is Larson taking either turns leading, these guys swap the lead and stuff like that. You can see that I'm not just, like, projecting these guys to do bad. 9 or 8 place differential points for Bell. We got 9 for Blaney. So that's right in the top 6 for these guys. I'm giving them both laps led. Just wanted to, you know. But I think Byron is by far the best play. I think he's easily the best play. And I'm going to assume that SaberSim does not necessarily like him as much as I do. Yes, we got him. I mean, yet again, these are medium projections. But, like, Bell, we got people like, let's actually short this by highest projection. I just want to see this real fast. So, like, we got Bell, we got Blaney together. That's that. Even when we start looking at single game stuff, we have very little exposure to Larson and Byron here in the grand scheme of things. Like, when we actually start looking at exposure, let me move this down. When we look at the exposure between, oh no, I didn't mean to do that. That's one thing I do a lot, is I just do that over the whole thing and I can't see a fucking thing that it's saying. When you look at the exposure between these guys, like, it's leaning heavily towards Bell and Blaney, like, duh, of course. So, anyway, the reason I'm bringing that up is I would assume that most lineups today are going to have one of Bell and or Blaney just in the field, especially if people are just running this in because it's Sunday. We got to worry about football. Let's just throw this in the optimizer and run what it says. There's a high likelihood that lineups end up going, yet again, here we are, good old 0 in the account. It's just been absolutely screwed. I'm only doing one line today, man. I'm very pissed off at Phoenix. I'm just done. I'm not gonna waste more money on this crap. But when we go, like, there's a real high likelihood that we have Blaney, we have Bell. Can we fit one of these bad boys in there? You can. Very easily done, or very easily happening. Very easy to do. But I would assume that most things are going to go either Byron or Larson with Blaney or Bell in a majority of that, or it just leans into being safe and they have a lot of Blaney and Bell and stuff like that. Anyway, the reason I'm bringing that up is since I'm so drastically different with like I'm playing Larson, I'm playing Byron. I already knew that entering. So like whenever people are like, you gotta leave salary on the table, you gotta leave, you gotta be different and stuff like that. Well, I'm already getting different, as you've seen. Like I don't need to worry about that. So my like these settings for me is like I'm running min salary 49,200. These are lineups that I would build. Yet again, only doing one line, but these are absolutely lineups that I would play. This is a situation where if I was running 20 lineups, I would absolutely be taking a vast majority, probably 8 of them from what Saberson would build. I want to bring up this. So when we look at how people or what people are projecting for and where people are at, there's 2 people that I'm higher on and not even intentionally trying to do that I would be aware or be of note on if you're using these projections. So like I'm giving McDowell a pretty high projection here. I'm having Jones maintain a running position pretty high. So these are the 2 guys that are popping off the most in my own stuff that I would kind of be hesitant on. So when where we at? I forgot. I think it was projected score. So we're gonna see a lot of like McDowell. We're gonna see a lot of Jones will start popping up here. And so normally, I have to allocate $25 a line whenever you do 20 lineups because it's 1 to 15, 4, 1, 5. Right, that's 25. Typically, I allocate around 150 to 175 of just fucking lines that I wouldn't play or just that like despise. So like these McDowell lines, I'm pretty sure I have a McDowell line with a Jones here. Also, what I have also learned is if you're watching anybody build lineups and stuff and you actually trust them and they have the lineups on screen, I typically enter some of the lines that they have on screen, especially if they're saying, hey, I would typically play these lines. Don't know how likely these are, but like this is pretty aggressive on Priest, McDowell, Jones. Like this is a line I would absolutely enter if I was running 20. I don't even care about the plus EV or negative EV play. I would play this line. This one has Haley, right? One of these will have Haley. I was looking at this earlier. And usually if you do like 1 or 2 lineups with guys that are like drastically different compared to the field, like McDowell and Jones, that's all you need. You don't need to get like crazy. You don't need to be like, I got to be over the field on Jones or McDowell or whatever. Like even just a single McDowell line without Jones. Pretty sure this will have, like I like the punt. That's perfectly fine. I'm not worried about that. Like Suarez, you could argue you want to get different there. But like here's a line that I would enter. Kind of already talked about one like this. This one has a lot of people I like here. Maybe change Priest out, but like here's like these are lines that I would look at. I'd enter 1 or 2 built like that in my portfolio. The reason I'm bringing this up is so clearly I'm gonna have, or with this stuff, it's like in McDowell, it's like in Jones a lot more compared to the field. Realistically, we can just kind of remove these 2 guys and actually start talking about lineups that I kind of like here. So we're seeing that I'm getting a lot of Elliott. When I look at where these guys are at, I want to make a real argument. GPP, like tournament strategy. Bell and Blaney are they're the identical play. They are exactly the same play. I would play Bell over Blaney. I would take the discount over paying up for Ryan Blaney. That is my view. That's probably where I'd be at. I would probably end up trying to have more diversity playing Bell over Blaney in my lineup. So specifically, if you're playing safer, if you're wanting to go like, I want to play, Blaney with Byron or whatever, I would encourage you to play Byron and Bell. I really would. They both have pretty shit pit stalls on the back straightaway. You have the negative side of the Joe Gibbs pit crews and stuff. But I would absolutely play Bell and Blaney together. I think they're identical plays. And even when I was building stuff too, like you remove all this stuff, Like, this is how I build projections, okay? We start off just right off the bat of where are these drivers going to finish, okay? Clearly, I like Byron, I like Larson, but like that's not really the point. So, given Bell 8 place differential points, because you always have to keep an account that there's a difference between these two. So anytime you enter a top 10 or you lose a top 10, you have to add or remove an extra point. But you look at Bell, I'm giving him 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 5th place. That's not out of the fucking ballpark. As the probably least likely of the championship 4 to win the championship, 5th place is a pretty good starting position, or a pretty good finishing projection. We look at Ryan Blaney, so we give him 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So both pretty identical. A difference in projection, but the Sims, my Sims say that I have Ryan Blaney on an average finish of 3.9972. Doesn't fucking matter. When you're projecting people between 3rd and 7th, like that is, letting Jesus take the wheel. Like that, we're just going to let real life luck determine what happens there. But typically those guys are projected in a similar vein. Now, in terms of getting the lead and how do we lead laps, well, Blaney and Bell have to pass Byron and Larson, who are going to maintain the running position, who have the better pit road or pit selections and stuff. They also have to deal with Harvick, who has had pretty consistent speed in practice. They're going to have to deal with Truex, who's probably going to run 5th all day. We have Hamlin, Chastain, all these guys up here that they have to slingshot around to get the lead. So what situation causes that? Well, it's Hendrick guys speeding, running into issues. Say if they get the lead, like, Blaney lines up 4th on a restart, and he gets lead. He has to outrun those guys. And so, like, when I'm looking at my projections here, like 32 laps led for Bell isn't fucking insane. When you look at how Phoenix runs through, this is the only thing I kind of like about doing these types of lineups of where or these shows when I just do everything, because then I can just show people everything that I do, and nobody has to question me. And they're like, why did you do this? Why did you do that? Why did you do this? I can just be like, look, this is how I got to the conclusion of everything. And then nobody like really tells me to kill myself when the guys like crash and wreck out and shit. Let's look at the last 3. We can look at the last 4 championship races. But when we look at these, we typically have lap leaders who come from the front of the race, who have good pit stall selections, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so like the primary lap leader is most likely the guy who is starting in the front row. And when we look head-to-head between Truex and Byron, like Truex should get beat by Byron just on the start. That's just how it should be. There's really no plausible explanation. Explanation of how Truex gets the lead on the initial start of the race outside of Byron just grenading the transmission or something. So when we look at where the lap leaders necessarily come from, we see that typically, hey, the guy who's in first is going to get a majority of the laps led, man, straight up. Because they have a good pit stall section, yada, 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 yada. So, like, this leans heavily into Byron's favor. That's just what it is. We're seeing that majority of the laps led are coming from those guys. Now, in situations to where they relinquish the lead, they don't lead the entire race, where is the secondary lap leaders coming from? Typically a guy up front. In the race, in the case last year, when we look at, and as I said, this is a situation like we're looking at like Gen 6 races as well, but still like kind of up in the air. But we see other lap leaders who have come from like place differential plays outside the top 10 who have gotten to lead, right around 70 laps, secondary like 94, so that's like 2 in a row where like the second guy is like led near 100 or whatever. We go back more. We see lap leaders coming from the front. We see secondary lap leaders who have moved up through the field very, very rarely. And so anyway, going back to like my stuff, I'm like, yeah, so I can see Bell, I can see Byron, or I can see Bell, I can see Blaney moving up into the field, racing in the top 4 or 5 or whatever, stuff like that. But it's going to be really hard to get around guys who have the best cars starting up front. And if that happens, it's most likely later in the race, in like stage 3, maybe stage 2. And so like that's where I'm at in terms of projecting these guys to get like this amount of laps led and stuff. So like that stuff isn't crazy. So yet again, going back to Bell and Blaney seem like identical plays. I would just play the cheaper guy who's probably going to carry less ownership in a situation like this. Like, that's how I would use it. That would be my train of thought and everything like that. I want to add that if you're not going that way, or you need to also play guys who are going to be safe, it's going to be very difficult to get It's going to be very difficult to get Keselowski in lineups. He's 9,000 smackaronis or something. I don't remember how. I have this one open too. I don't remember. Yeah, he's like 9,000. I just X'd out of my fucking live stream, so I have no idea. Hold on, give me a second. Hey, I didn't shut it down. I thought I completely just tanked the stream on accident there. When we look at Keselowski, needs 45 points to pay it off, starting from the back of the field. When we look at his speed, the need for speed for good old Brad Keselowski, certainly showing the speed to get there, okay? But because it's Phoenix, hard as fuck to pass. It's not like you have a top 10 car starting back here. You're going to fly through right off the bat. This is a situation where Keselowski would probably be in, like, if he doesn't get lapped, because you can get trapped and get fucked in dirty air here, he's most likely migrating his way into 20th, 19th, 18th, 17th, 15th, 16th, probably by like lap like 230, with like 80 laps to go in late stage 2, stage 3. So I don't think he's like necessarily a lock to get a ton of stuff in. I gave him, 15 place differential points or whatever. That's like 15th. That's like right around here. I mean, that's not as appealing as you'd want it to be. The guy that I actually really like today is the man I probably hate the most. I hate his fans. I hate the Dawsonville pool room. If that place would catch on fire, I wouldn't even piss on it to put it away or put it out. But man, I like Elliott today, man. I like Elliott a lot. Man. I like him a lot. I will probably play Chase Elliott today in my one line. I like his speed. I like his stuff. I'd certainly be able to field in general. Like, I'd probably have 11, 12 lines with him if I was around 20 anyway. But he's a stand that I probably want to take. And I think it's so weird that he's so cheap. He's $8,600. Like, I would just play this man, dude. I really like Elliott. You could argue that he's a direct pivot off of Keselowski. You can play them together. I like Elliott a lot today. So when I'm like looking at builds, yet again, like this is a good indication of where my stuff would end up being at. Now, I'd probably start hand building more, mess around with stuff. Like here's a line I'd play. So like you're playing 20, like play it, throw it in your 4, whatever, see how it goes. But these are lines that I would totally play. I'd mess around with. So like when you're here with these guys, we most likely. Oh yeah, let's talk value real fast. So Haley is probably the best value on the slate. When we look at his speed, like I mean, it's a shame he didn't run longer. Clearly not entirely happy with the car. He didn't run a lot of laps in practice, but just based on what he's been able to do and where he's at, we can easily pin him down for like 24th, 25th, somewhere around there. And I got him for right at 25th. He has a real chance of probably being one of the better point per dollar plays. Very close in line with like Harrison Burton and who else is in this value range. Very similar to like LaJoy, Burton, Gillen, and stuff like that. Yet again, I kind of gave McDowell more than probably what I should have, just to have like some McDowell lines in there. But even still, like, this is one of McDowell's worst tracks. Like, he's going to probably finish, like, 23rd, like, straight up. Because he almost always finishes 23rd here. But, like, this range is pretty disgusting. I don't think this is necessarily going to save anybody unless, like, all these guys should go a lap down. Like, Hocevar should get lapped if this race goes green. McDowell, whatever. But, like, LaJoy isn't showing the speed that we necessarily want to see from him. I understand that these are the finishes, and I understand that LaJoy is probably going to be the most popular in the 5K range in and of itself. But, like, I'm concerned about that. I'd be concerned if I was playing LaJoy that he gets trapped or whatever. Like, this speed is pretty bad to see. Usually he's showing better, and he hasn't been that good at short tracks. I'd much rather play him at intermediate tracks. Like, man, dude. Spire really showing up to their Spire ways. So, like, LaJoy isn't the slam dunk that probably a lot of let's see, did SaberSim use him in their shit? Which one is their build? I don't have either build of them. Let's look at their stuff. What did LaJoy? I'm gonna guess LaJoy got him probably more than other 5K guys. Where we at? No Priest at all. Like I said, I have Priest at least projected to like finish top 16 or something. Like that's I'd at least have some Priests. Let's see. Oh, even SaberSim's showing punt, but 5K range. Yeah, LaJoy is probably the more popular play in the 5K range. So, not just because SaberSim is showing it, but like this is a situation where like you either go Haley or you just go to the bottom of the salary. Like I don't think like this is a race here where I just think it's like I think it's a negative EV line. I think it's a bad play to leave like 11, 1300, 1500 on the table. Like this is a race which most of the time it kind of goes that way unless there's like a lot of wrecks. But these are races to where you shouldn't really be leaving more than like 600 on the table. Otherwise, you're like giving up true potential and stuff on all the lines unless you've already had the line that is like a 49.9 line, and then you remove one guy and swap another guy in, and that line goes from 49.9 to a 49.600. Like that, those are situations. Once you've covered like the other lines, well then yeah, you can slowly start leaving more and more. But like just to enter one line and leave like 1200 is just kind of fucking dumb. But like here, like Haley, I want to see what this does exactly. So like hopefully like people would like wreck out and shit. So yeah, like we're in the 8K range. I'd like to should get Elliott. We didn't get to Keselowski, Almirola. I don't know if that's really like so yet again as I just kind of talked through things. I would probably this is why like a lot of people get frustrated whenever I talk about 20 because I don't use an optimizer. I manually just follow all the lines that I've built, and so like I would spend 2 of my 20 lineups interchanging guys here. I'd throw one in with Briscoe. I'd throw one in with Almirola. Like, but in terms of one line, I feel like this might not be the best thing for me to do with my one line. So I take him out. Yet again, getting different with McDowell. Suarez in 16s. I don't know. But like this is the build that I'm more than likely playing these 4 drivers. I just got to figure out what I want to do with my last 2 and stuff. But that's really just me talking through my process and stuff as I put this back up on the screen, and I'll see what you guys are saying here. And 32 you guys here on a Sunday, football Sunday. Thank you very much for joining me. Thank you for being here and just watching my stuff. And like I never asked for likes or subscriptions and stuff. I never really asked for like in the stream. I always do at the end, like, hey, if you win something, you can donate on PayPal or through the streams and stuff. But like you guys do a lot of that stuff like unprovoked. I really do appreciate you spending your time and stuff here. Let's go here and look through. Willie is sponsored by Griff. I don't know. I don't even know what's on the car. Don't even care. Don't even give a fuck what's on the car. Can I triple punt? I would probably not here. 312 laps is not that drastically different from 267, which a lot of the intermediates run. I don't think it's worth triple punting, like, just real fast. So, like, this, we'll just run these 3 together. Larson, Byron, this is how I would answer this question. Larson, Byron, Haley, Elliott. Larson, Byron, Haley, Haley, and Elliott. Where are we at, Elliott? I can't see because I got that is 262 between those. So if you had to triple punt, so we're looking for 262. I just want to see real fast. You want one of these guys, 262, so 262. I don't even know who you would like. Well, we'll just run these 3 together. So like Larson, Byron, and Bell together. Yet again, this is my projections, but we're trying to at least see if we can argue 262 here. We're at 242, so we're 20 points off with 3 drivers. However, since we're having a triple punt, we'll add Newman to this. Just using Newman as the example here. He's at 12. Actually, we're gonna try and give it the best shot. I'm gonna put McDowell to see what it does here because he's my highest projected guy here. So we're looking for 262. I got another guy on Steam blocking my fucking thing. So let me see. This is at 276. So we're getting really, really tight here. I feel like we're giving up too much by triple punting, because at this point we're probably gonna be stuck with multiple guys. So what are we at? We got 4. We're probably gonna have 2 guys in the 20s. So even if we go, oh man, that's 50. 53 plus what was that? 272. 272 plus 53. That's right at 325. When I compare that with where we're at here, when I take these guys off, so we're like, give or take 7 points off of this stuff, of where I'm at here. So it's certainly a play you could make, but for me, I'm having to get quite a few ways down. And I feel like that, like when we're looking at like top projected stuff. Now, if all 3 of those guys lead laps, and the only way that would work is if you nailed all 3 lap leaders, and they didn't wreck out, and then the value actually came through. Like, you would need your triple punts to score easily, hit value. So if they're like at 5, 8, they need like either like 29, 30, 32, 33, 34 points to get there. I don't know what the likelihood of multiple 5K guys getting there. Like, it'd be a lot of these guys in the back having to finish in this range. So projection-wise, when I run against my stuff, it's like anywhere from like probably 7 to 10 points lower than my highest projected stuff. But realistically, I think it's probably lower than that. So probably like 13 to 15 to 18, 20 points lower. So just be aware of that. Like, if you do want a triple punt, like if I was running 20, totally throw a triple punt line in. But you just got to be aware of what like the actual upside of that lineup is, and that would be my answer to that question, Matthew. Thank you, Tyler, for that. What's your favorite picks for the 6 and 5K range? You just need 3. I mean, they're on the screen, my guy. I don't know, like, why. Okay, I know I'm like blocking. Hold on. I mean, it's like the projections are here. I have to ask, truly. In the same comment that you're asking, thanks. I don't understand why people ask that question when the projections are on the screen. Not even here. Like, I'll be watching football streams and stuff, and they'll show projections, and people will be like, "What are your favorite plays?" And I'm like, the projections are on the screen. Like, that would usually dictate the plays, man. I don't know. But in the 5 and 6K range, let's clear this out. Man, I really hate them all. Let me get. Gotta do this real fast. Hold on. So, oopsie. So, like, man, these ranges, like, here you're basically in the 7K, so, like, Suarez and Bowman don't count. I'm giving a higher projection to Jones, but realistically, he probably scores, like, I would answer Jones, because I think that's just an interesting tournament play, but he probably scores closer to, like, 24. So, like, it'd be Priest, but again, I'm probably a little bit higher on Priest, so Priest would probably score, like, 22 points. So let's actually get this stuff realistically. Yeah, so it'd probably go to Stenhouse and Haley. Probably LaJoy for, like, safety and stuff like that. I don't know. I would try to avoid that range. Those would be my conclusions. I would really try to avoid, like, this no man's land here. And yet again, if I was going to go to that range, I would probably go to McDowell. I'd probably go to Priest. I'd probably go to Jones just to get different here. But I would try and avoid that range if possible, or just use the projections and rank them that way. Just be aware of the projections I have for these 2 guys here. But that is what I do. That's how I do things. Let's see here. Gillen a reasonable. I don't even know. I don't even know where Gillen is even starting. Where is this man starting? Oh yeah, yeah, I'm not fucking touching that. I would not touch that. I wouldn't even waste my time playing Gillen. If you're running 20 max, what exposure would you limit Byron Larson to? I mean, I'd probably 65, 70. I mean, I never, ever, let me answer this with like, these are just, here, let's just go through, I can't remember all the races I've done, like 24. Because usually second part of the year when the contest gets smaller, I start running less. But I don't think anything is going to be shown here. So let's go through, and I need, where am I at? Sheets. Let's find all the Cup Series stuff from this year. So like this is probably Darlington 2. This is Chicago. So let's find all the things late. Las Vegas 2. Homestead. I don't even remember how many laps I've ran for these races. We'll do Kansas. We'll fucking throw Michigan in there. We'll just look at all these lines. Nashville, it's an intermediate track. And that's different because it's Phoenix. I don't know. Let's see Richmond. Okay, so these are all my lines that I usually run. So like Darlington 2, these are probably percentages of me and 12 lines. Yeah, so this is a full 20. So like you can just see I'm just like, man, fucking wildly heavy on people. Like I just don't give a fuck. Like nobody would ever be like, yeah, you run a 20 max, you need 77% Truex, you need 60% of two drivers. Like this is how I build. I'm always, I don't even remember if these won or lost. What is it? Oh, this is Chicago, so that's fucking lame. I know I didn't enter shit here, but like I pretty much always just go all in on people. This is Las Vegas 2, so let's see here. Only did 8, pretty much 100% Larson. Over the field on Chastain, just 100% Elliott. And these are all like 4, yet again, this is the 4, 15, 5, 1. And those are all the contests I enter. Homestead. I don't even know. Oh, yeah. Larson hit the fucking pit wall. Oh, my God. That's what happened. We were having a great day. Another solid, great day at Homestead. Larson hits the fucking pit wall like a Goomba. And that kills, a big majority of my lines and stuff like that. But this is where I go. This is how I play stuff. Played a lot of Logano. Yeah, this is percentage of 13 lines just so I can pay attention to where we're at. But I don't know if I did a lot here. Yeah, so like if it's marked red, it's because my line was dead. So sometimes I just get depressed and I just stop chasing stuff. But it's like Kansas, I'm assuming Bell started on pole and fell off and fucking did shit, and then Truex crashed. So all the lines in red are lines that died, like right off the bat at some point. So I don't even know if any of these cashed. But you can see, hey, I hit 100% Gibbs. Like I just I'm very aggressive. And typically if I have a FanDuel. Like, if I have FanDuel, that means I'm also playing some lines here. Sometimes it's aggressive, sometimes it's not. But DraftKings is the one I primarily focus on. This is Michigan. Let's see where I was at for Michigan. Hey, I played Bell again, and he absolutely fucked me. And then Byron gets in the wall and crashes and absolutely fucks me, So usually, like, if one of my guys ran into issues, like, it just fucking cooked. It's just absolutely obliterated. Like, there's no chance in hell for, like, anything to come back. For whatever reason, didn't do a lot of lines at Nashville, either didn't like the contest or whatever, but basically went 100% of the guys that I liked. Let's check out Richmond too. I hate Richmond, so I typically didn't play a lot. So that's kind of where we're at. So maybe that answers your question or helps you understand where we're at or how I approach lineups. And typically that's why, like, yet again, we're looking for 1 to 2 races a year that things go well on. Oddly enough, this is a way better year for. Usually, I can argue to be optimal, or I've had so many decent days. Like seriously, here, like this is what I mean. Is it wrong to like bitch and moan? Sorry, I've had people like, Brandon, I pulled the results of the race. You fucking suck, dude. Like, dude, Michigan, are you kidding me? Bell had the cheating up car wrecks himself. Great car, Byron. Great car, wrecks himself. Am I a bad player at Michigan here? Did I do anything wrong here? I don't fucking think so. I played all the guys I liked and they all wrecked. Like, you know, a lot of situations like that. And so when we're looking at like NASCAR, we have like what, 87, 96 slates between all the series and heat races and duels and shit like that. Like I'm looking to try and take down like 4 of those a year. We did that already. We took down a Truck Series contest. We finished very well in other races. Like I'm happy with the what is it? The process. And so yet again, answering your question of like, what do I do in my 20 exposure? Like I'm aiming to try and be as profitable if I nail everything correctly, you know? So what is that? That's $25 per lineup. That's like $600 a fucking slate. You know, that gets expensive really fast. And if it just didn't happen this year. Like all on top of all the stack from the back plate races that just didn't work this year, pretty much every time I entered 20 lines, I don't think I even got close to making money back by the end of the race. I'd either be winning a lot and somebody wrecks out or whatever. But if those lineups like actually work, that 600 turns into easily like $14,000. So for me, it's worth that risk of trying to nail that like once a year or whatever. So yeah, like I like being aggressive with that stuff. If I like people, I just play aggressively. Some people like that, some people don't. That's why I don't play cash. Like if I play cash, I'd be literally living in a tent. Like I'd be absolutely fucking broke. Because I can't play cash to save my life. My brain just doesn't work that way. I can't actively neuter myself and my like projections to like play conservative. I'm just like, nah, if I like people, I'm fucking going all in on them and stuff. That's how I play. And so yeah. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. Been here for 50 minutes. If you guys have any more questions, I would love to hear them. I know some people are listening on replay or whatever. I'd like to be live for like 10 more minutes. If you guys just want to talk about anything, if you guys want to ask me anything specifically, if you want me to look at any sex out of all these failures, all this fucking pain and misery, dude. All this pain and misery. What else? But yeah, if you guys just want to ask or talk or anything, if you want to look at anything for this race specifically, and yet again, that's why, I mean, you just saw the lineups that I build. That's why I don't necessarily worry about leaving money on the table. Like I should have done that before I looked. I have typically the line below, I'll have written down how much salary is left on the lines, and so typically I usually have like 0, 0, 200, 400, 0, 0, 500, 0, 0, 600. Then I have like 1,100, 1,200, 1,300, but like it's very, very few. But because I build so drastically different, I feel like leaving the money on the table is not necessarily needed for me. But yeah, so that's kind of where we're at. And so also, Kyle, 2 things here. I can't do this type of video. Like a video like this would be paywalled for sure because I'm just giving all my stuff away on this video. The only reason I did it yet again is because it's the last race of the year. It's the one race in November, and pretty much everybody on the Patreon stayed to support me just because they like me. But I would like never ever do this for people who are like paying, and like I would really try and not give this shit away for free on YouTube. Like, yet again, these are lineups that I would absolutely be entering if I was making 20 lineups today. Like I just wouldn't. There's no point in me giving away my edge. There's no reason for me to do that for free. But if you like this, maybe I go to that site. Maybe those will be behind the paywall, and then we can really talk stuff and things like that. Let's see. How much do I take into account? I do here and there. Like we're gonna go through a pretty big transition anyway. Like this race starts at noon. No, hold on. Also, for the fact that I've pretty much been in Phoenix, pretty much every Phoenix race, and so we don't see that. Let me change it. Let me answer that in 2 different ways. We have an hour until the F1 race starts. We have 4 hours until the Cup race starts. The Cup race starts at 3:30 Eastern time. That's 2:30 my time. That would be noon in Arizona. So, track is going to start off cool at noon. It's going to heat up over the course of 3-4 hours. It's going to end around like 4 or 5. Hopefully we get like yellows or some shit. Why don't we end this under the lights? Like, come on, man. Have some fucking night races, NASCAR. Yet again, going back, Phoenix, like, is anybody watching these races? You can't pass the leader. If you get the lead on the restart, regardless, you could have a piece of shit car in practice. You could have a great car in practice. It's always the leader will build like a 1.5 second lead over the course of a run, and then if the car is bad or whatever, the second place will slowly cut that down over the short or over the long run and stuff. But the leader, if you can just get the lead, regardless if you have a good car or bad car, you're gonna have it for a bit. So like, yeah, practice is important to see what these guys rolled off the trailer with and everything like that. Like we need to respect that and stuff, or we need to pay attention to that. But it's also who has the lead on restarts, who gets the lead on pit lane, who gets the lead on all that stuff. And so all that's taken into account. I don't weigh really one more than the other. I'm just aware of all these variables and stuff. And that's not really an answer to your question, but that's how I would answer that question. Well, I mean, you cannot show lineup construction without showing projections. At least in my opinion, you can't. Like, any idiot can go on a video and be like, well, I want to play these guys here, and like, this is the construction here, and they're like, I'm making a 5-minute video, and boom, here we are, right here. Like, here we are. But these are I guarantee you. Let's hop on the YouTube. See if anybody did that. There's like 2 people who do that on YouTube for NASCAR DFS, and I'm like, wow, brother, you're telling me the 2 chalk plays and like a plays differential play really help me out here. Why do you think that? Why do you what's going on here? Unless I trust you, like Pinnell, I trust Pinnell. If he likes people I like, I'm not gonna be like, hey, explain your thought process. But like some like random asshole, I'm like, bro, why do you like this guy? What's up? Like, I mean, I've already talked shit about this guy. This shit's a joke, man. This shit is horrible. This is like horrible content. I hate this fucking guy. I hate this. Not him personally. It could be a nice guy. This content fucking sucks. And then I go here and I read all this. And I'm like, if you're following this guy, you're paying the rate, because there'll be times where people will come back and be like, another great video, and I'm like, I kick the shit out of these projections. Like for Xfinity and truck, like I'll go again, like my stuff will be against what this is. I'll smash and come back on the next race, and people will be like, hey, we did a good job. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? But like, why? This is a guy where I'd be like, show me I really want to hear what you're coming to. I want to understand how we're getting to certain aspects here. And so answering your question, Kyle, at least for me, because I like being the channel and stuff that I never saw. If I'm getting content, and somebody's doing lineup construction, I want to see the projections. I want to see why things are leaning that direction. I want to see, like, we can't just, what is it? Actually, 2 things there. I don't just want to see lines with just drivers' names. Like, I want to see the justification why, and I want to see their projections against their own stuff. It doesn't matter what other people have in general. I want to see what their stuff is compared to the other stuff. And also, that's another reason why, I hate to say it, but like, seriously, if somebody you trust is building lineups on SaberSim, you should enter the lineups that are on the screen, especially if it's a situation where they're like, yeah, I'm going to download these lineups and upload them to DraftKings. Like, you should play the fucking lines on the screen. Like, you should absolutely do that. I've done that. And you know what? I win money off of that. There's been so many times. There's people that I trust who build lineups on SaberSim, and I'm like, all right, cool. All right, I'll enter the 4 lines I can visibly see on the screen. Because if you're entering them, I'm going to enter them too. Like, I don't know of a better, what is it? Like, support for somebody with their lineups than them just downloading the CSV and upload it to DraftKings. Like, yeah, I'm going to play those lines as well. If you like them, I'm going to like them too. That's where I'm at. Yeah, it's probably yeah. I mean, there's a lot of I've watched them all. I'm not like if I don't remember the name, it's because I really don't care about it. Um, but yeah, I'm pretty sure we're talking about the same guy. It's the one where yet again, looking at DraftKings, be like, well, when we look at practice, well, when we look at the practice data, it looks like Christopher Bell is going to be pretty fast. And then when we look at your place differential play, you're gonna probably want to use Keselowski. And then when we need to look for another value, it's probably gonna be Justin Haley. And then we need another lap leader, and so we're probably gonna play William Byron. And then this would be a good start for you guys. You guys can figure it out. Goodbye. Like I hate that content. I don't know. That's just me where I'm at. My opinion, but. Anybody can do that. I could do that. It would save me so much time if I would just do like a 2-minute video on the picks. But I like talking about this stuff. I really enjoy the numbers game. I enjoy making DFS. I think DFS is way more fun than sports betting. I think NASCAR, it takes a lot to talk about NASCAR for an entire year, and I like doing that. I really, really like talking NASCAR, man. So that's why I can just sit here and talk an hour about this stuff, like every day. And then you guys like listen to it and stuff like that. But that's about where we're at. I think I'm gonna end it there. As I said, hopefully this helps you out in some form or fashion. You know where I'm going. I'm playing Byron. I'm playing Larson. Yet again, due to that, if I like the 200 guys, I should probably like Elliott. He often plays differential. He's a pivot off of Brad Keselowski. I like Elliott today. Those are guys that I'd want to go on and stuff. Got a good rant? I sure hope so. And, yeah, guys, just yet again, last time, thank you very much for being here. I couldn't pay my rent. Couldn't do all this stuff without you guys joining the Patreon, watching the stuff on YouTube, donating on YouTube. And yeah, thank you very much. I will keep you guys updated on what the plan is for next year, so don't worry, you're not going to be left in the dark or anything like that. But just enjoy the time off. I'm going to enjoy this for probably about 3 weeks, and then I'll be like, where's my NASCAR? Like, dude, seriously, that's what's going to happen. By like November 20th, I'm going to be like, man, I want NASCAR to be back. Yeah, best of luck to you, Ronnie. Don't worry about that, Andrew. iRacing is not over. Don't worry. If anything, I'm going to have this channel. I'm going to be streaming a lot. I'll be gaming a lot. I'm going to be out of town next week, but when I come back, I'm going to be playing a lot of Modern Warfare multiplayer so I can feel like I'm in 2009 again. But yeah, I'll probably just be streaming video games and stuff up until NASCAR season, and by that, I'll know if I'm be back on here with somebody else, so I'll keep you updated and stuff like that. So yeah, just thanks for everything, guys, and I will see you guys to talk DFS next year. Somewhere, somehow, but we will. See you guys later.